Yeah, and Illinois rounds out their non-conference schedule against Bethune-Cookman on December 29th before going into Big Ten play after the new year. All right, so let's transition a little bit into some recruiting news and things you have seen on the trail this summer. You've been traveling around to different high school events. You have, went to the Under Armour event, the big one that they have in Chicago, and then you were also at NY2LA, which I believe is up in Milwaukee or the Wisconsin area. You'd have to correct me if I'm wrong there. But let's talk about the big name on the Illini board, Amani Hansberry. I don't know how much of the film you've watched of him, but I do think that he's actually a really intriguing player. He seems to be a really good evaluation from Chester Frazier. That's the coach leading the way for the Illini on the push there. He ranked around like the 150s, I believe, is where he's at, but he's probably in line to get a rankings boost after everything he did this summer for his EYBL team, and that's obviously something that you really want to see. But the pressure there on him for a commitment seems a little bit odd because now he's maybe pushing things back a little bit as more programs seem to get involved on a national level. Did take an official visit to Illinois this offseason. Other schools involved include Penn State. That's the team Illinois oddly is like recruiting against, but he's from the Baltimore DMV area, so it kind of makes some sense there. Miami's another school that he might take an official visit to. Your Auburn Tigers have kind of gotten involved here of late, and it seems like he might, take some more visits here as the fall semester and kind of the period where visits can begin again consumes.
Yeah, so I haven't seen Hansberry in person yet, but just kind of following the EYBL. His numbers really stood out. Like, I agree. I would look at his numbers and he's ranked at 247 or whatever, and that doesn't align. Like, he clearly seems to be in line for a rankings boost. And I'm not sure. Illinois isn't like really looking to have a huge 2023 recruiting class. Like, you can theoretically get a lot of the guys back from this year's team. I mean, I guess Meyer's the only one that would run out of eligibility. So like that's the only guy you would for sure have to lose. I do think, one of Coleman Hawkins or Terrence Shannon or even Ty Rogers could have their sights on the pro. So or someone could transfer. So, you're not going to fill like just one spot. But yeah, when I was at UAA and I was at NY2LA, and I'm not sure Illinois coaches made an appearance at either. I didn't see any at either. Like, it seemed they were pretty focused on Peach Jam and EYBL and Hansberry in particular. So in 2023, like, this is their guy. They're making a full out push for him, and it definitely is a little concerning if he wants to extend it. He took a visit here this summer. I don't know if it was I think it was probably
unofficial. It was an
official. He was here this summer. He was in Champaign. Penn State is the name I'd heard from outside, sources outside this recruitment, like, just neutral observers. Penn State was the big name I heard, obviously. And yeah, if he gets a rankings boost and then starts to get some bigger schools involved, that would be a little worrisome. But just the fact that Illinois has been there for everything, I'm sure is in contact with him every day, was at all his EYBL games. Like, that's a good sign. And I'm curious to see where this one goes. But I guess I haven't even talked about him as a player, but he's kind of this like bigger wing, maybe a smallish four.
Yeah, like 6'8".
Yeah, and kind of in line with like what Illinois has been trying to do lately. If you look at their pickups of Shannon Meyer and Ty Rogers, just kind of this positionless, guard a few spots wing that would fit the roster pretty well. So yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes, but he seems like he'd be a good fit for this program.
Yeah, another thing I really like about him is like he's not elite at like scoring or being an elite shooter, but he's just kind of good at everything. He's a really good rebounder. I'll give him that. For his size, he's a really good rebounder at 6'8". He puts up some really impressive rebounding numbers, and he did have some consistent scoring nights as well at Peach Jam and at EYBL stuff throughout the summer. Some schools that are also just kind of concerning that I didn't mention earlier: Oregon, West Virginia, and I think Maryland's probably one to kind of consider watching here, just as they try and establish themselves in that DMV area. Again, that's an area that they've kind of struggled in over the past 5 to 10 years. And I think it kind of led to your guy, Mark Turgeon, eventually quitting, if that's the term we want to use, on his team and on his tenure in Maryland. But that's the kind of guy that like Maryland needs to get if they're going to be successful. So I'll be interested to see if they kind of turn up some heat there and try and get involved.